Alright, I got two things off the bat. One is ego, and then something else that has to do with a one. And that how one, there's actually two ones. So there would be like an ego one and a different one. There was like a higher mind that would do something else. That was like tired of giving away this same thing. So then if they told it really vague and codified, then anybody should be able to catch on to what they're saying about the one. And then you would get double the one. You would even get double the one. But that would work out like, you know how it works out in a negative way. So you get like a double negative where you would owe one, but you wouldn't even have one. But you would have like a double negative balance. So you would have to like go get it at the bank, but you could never get it at the bank. Kind of like one of those things. So once it happened and it was like an error and a scar, it didn't have to be like a burden. I mean, it could be a burden, but it all depends on how people handle like I guess their inside is like, that would tell them everything. Like their insides would just clean the universe like an engine. That probably sounds crazy. It should sound crazy because if I told the answer, then the psychologist would just do the same thing that they're doing out there now. Or I would add on to somebody's brain. I would get associated with the brain in a way that I don't want to, let's say, which had different effects too. So it'd be like brain, ego, iron box, and dumb shit. Then you'd have psychologists come out and like cook a box. They would cook like a person in a box. Some people liked it. They're like, that's all I needed. But there was like, it was just talking. You were just getting talk therapy. So it's like you just needed someone to talk to. And a psychologist came. And it's like if you had nobody to talk to, then you would die and like disappear in ignorance, you know? So then that was what you would have to go through. But no psychologist or somebody actually goes through that willingly. So then it's hard to like buy that with money. Or, there's things like that that aren't just, that you can fake your way to them. Because they're like, a process of authenticity, of actually going through like what that all entails. The absence of one, or deprivation, or the just like death, negativity, and then come out and cook the negativity and kill the negativity, cut it out. It's almost like subliminals and Manchurian candidates. But you still have this one thing, and then the whole other thing that happened with zero, with like a zero balance. And then like, oh yeah, we know all about that. And it's like, well, I'm just going to keep doing that and repeating that until I see that into full fruition out there. Which you can see it in some places. Which is like the places that I would look normally. No, I'd tell the doctors, like, yeah, that guy there. Put him in a box. He's good for the taking. And then we could like talk about whatever truths they wanted to talk about, which wasn't truth anyway. It was just like trick, manipulation. Almost kind of like math. Like you could get so manipulated for so long by it that whenever anyone found out its demise or end, even though math's not eternal, it would be like a death. So it's kind of like that. But it ties into math or whatever. It ties into math, and for my own privacy, that I'm vague, and I think that allows more learning anyway. That allows more, which isn't always good, to make up like learning and your own stuff in the middle. Because a lot of times that's what we see what's happened here, but that's not really helped alleviate any of these real issues. One of which is like, a psychology that can be caused just by running air and stuff through your mind and thought. You know, as if your mind was breathing, or if that the universe was a part of breathing, like, you know, a contraction, where it wasn't like going all the way out to like, oh, it's just going and breathing out, like an exhale, and we're all just exhaled into a fucking machine, or into the abyss. That's like a resting point. It has like resting points and stuff. But I don't want to talk about them, because then they get confused for hyper objects. And then that becomes what we have out there. Which is something I'm trying to get across to the police, that they don't really understand. But it's like, fine. Just because you don't understand, ignorance is no excuse to the law. And they're like, well, Donald Trump's going to make a big show with the Constitution. And it's like, the Constitution isn't really there. So they could pretend they're taking it away, put it back. They could do all that. What's actually best is if you see it the way I'm seeing it. And at least somewhat, is that that's only as real as, it's like a secondary thing. It's like, look at the wall and believe. But it's like the wall was already here. You know, it was like before you had to look at it and believe. That doesn't mean that the wall wasn't real or all this simulation shit. It's like, well, we live in a simulation. It's like, that's crazy. Because then you can't afford that either, because that would run off language, code, and programming. And then it was like, well, who did that? And then who did that in such a way that it was like flawlessly weaved in there? That you could just, who did that for the end of time? Into who made who, the vacuum? Or just spin out like a bunch of clones? Who made who? So I mean, like, it takes a lot of ignorance out there to not see a lot of the things, like what they try to go for in science. It takes a lot of ignorance to get that. So it's not even like a race to see intelligence or anything. It's kind of just like betrayal. Which in a way is dumb if you think about it. So there's one way to handle that, and then there's another way to handle that, where it's like, that's just silly, that's stupid thinking and funny. And then there's a one where it's like, that hurts. So there's like two different kind of ones. And one is like ego and brains. And then the other one is like the same one that's still looking for like infinite and all this stuff, but you can't even cram that into one space. They wouldn't like that. So it's like hypocritical. Becomes like a function in psychology, more so. Like a system. Almost like a tracking system. Before Corona. Then you could tie it into Corona. Just so you would have an ultimate tracking system. Where it's like, I don't want to sit here and listen to people in science talk about whose mind are we living in. I don't want to be gaslit. Like, I'll take that shit really seriously. Other than that, I'm minding my business. But like, I'm not going to get gaslit by Donald. Is Donald Trump an algorithm? is blah, blah by psychology today. And it's like, you can't talk to them, and then if you did, even if they got all the wisdom that would come out of it, they would not still be alleviated from the situation to where they become the same algorithm. But why? Why is that? The eye of the hurricane, is it like a big mystery? But uh there's just more ways to go about the one than being the one, or needing to lodge a one inside myself. Like that's what they say out there with people that do that. They get like obsessed. They're holding on to some kind of one. I don't know, they'll put all different things there. One BPD object, or one a narc something. Narc outpost, command post for a supply line. When the post is removed, they can't supply a line. I don't know. They talk all this shit out there, and it's like, well, just go out there and take your supply line away. So, well, how do you do that? It's like, I have to do everything anyway. It ends up being stupid, just so you can be like, you're the narcissist. And there's a bunch of ones backwards. No, I'm Elon Musk, the king of hydrogen. Duh. That's easy. And then people wouldn't really believe it. And that's fine. They didn't have to believe it. But I would bury them under a table of periodic rocks. Like, they would possibly, hypothetically, be able to bury somebody under math, or maybe some kind of like alternate arc or something. Maybe alternate universe. But I don't know if we still believe in those, because the big job science has been doing on unification. The one big job. What a one big job that'll be. One big, is there free will? I don't know. But I don't even want to talk about that. Because he'll sit in the institutions and bail everyone out on plagiarism. But it's like, that was like all the prison that just walked. And then they're like, well, somebody else is going to go in the prison. It's like, okay, whatever. School's starting over.